DreAllDay.com.
Before we start, please like and comment on this video so I can get your feedback. Also, click that subscribe button so you can get all the new content I'm dropping on this channel. And the free book, the mental handbook, physical book, Work on Your Game University, just take care of the shipping and handling, send this right to your doorstep. Let's get started. What's up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Today's topic is the game ain't over until you win. Game ain't over until you win. And there's so many different examples we can use from this. But the reason, first I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about this. I'll give you an example from my own life. Then I'm going to get into what I want to share with y'all so you can develop, you can adopt and start using this mindset on your own in your own life. Why I'm talking about this is that I see so many people who give up on their aims, give up on their goals, give up on things that they wanted to achieve, not because they get to a point where they say, you know what, I put all I can put into this and it's just, my heart's just not in it anymore. There's nothing wrong with that. You get to the point of something and you're like, my heart's not in this no more, or I put in everything I can put into this and I've decided that I'm going to walk away from this and go do something different. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you a quitter. It doesn't make you a failure. We all leave things in life. There are times we're going to walk away from everything. You're going to eventually walk away from everything you're doing right now and do something different. We all do that. And you want to move on in life. You don't want to be doing the same thing your whole life. But what I'm talking about is the kind of quitting that people do, walking away that people do in weakness. When I tried, but it didn't work out. Or I tried something and I got a result that was less than an optimal result and somebody said something. So I decided to agree with what they said, which was negative, like you're a failure, or you'll never make it, or you're not good enough, or you're too short, too tall, too black, too white, too something that says you're not going to make it because this person didn't make it and that person over there didn't make it, or some negative opinion that someone shares with you. You decide to accept that opinion and you use that as a reason to quit. Or you just face so many setbacks on your way up to your goal that you just decide, I can't take any more setbacks, so I'm going to leave this and go do something different that I think I won't face as many setbacks in. You know, if you keep your goals high, then you're wrong, because anything you do, you're going to face a bunch of setbacks. But if you decide to live an average life, you're right. You won't face too many setbacks. Your whole life is just going to be one long setback. You just won't even notice it. But what I'm talking about here today is how you can develop the mindset of continuing to play the game until you've won. Whatever game you decide to play. And again, that game is based on what your goals are, not what somebody else thinks your goals should be, not what somebody else said your goals should be, not what somebody else did or what their accomplishment is, but what you want your accomplishments to be. And that's something that I think, number one, you need to know yourself, only you can know. And number two, it's not even for you to share with anybody else. It's not really for you to tell anybody else what your overall goals are. You can if you want to, but my opinion is if you're sharing a goal with someone who has no active involvement in helping you reach it, then you're just wasting time. You're wasting time talking, first of all. Now you putting the energy of that goal out into the world, out to a person who can't do anything with it. So you're wasting your energy, and now you just got one more person who's going to sit and watch you do your thing while they ain't doing nothing because they want to pay attention to you. It's easier to watch somebody else do something than do it themselves. And as far as me, I mean, if you've listened to my videos, if you watched me, read my book, then you know about enough about my story and basketball background is that I was playing the game, working on my game, trying to get better, trying to get seen, trying to get on the court so I could actually perform in an actual basketball game. And I faced so many setbacks. So many times people said that's not going to work out. So many times people said you might as well give up. People said you might as well just go home. People said you're not going to make the basketball team. People said you keep trying out and not making it. People said, listen, you done tried out 3 years in a row and didn't make it. Look, you should probably think about what else you can do with your life. These are things that people actually said to me. I had to decide that the game wasn't going to be over until I got what I wanted to get, which was maybe that was making the team in high school. Maybe it was making the pros. Maybe it was playing in college. Who knows? Different points, there were different goals that I had. But the point of it is, you got to keep playing the game until you win. You don't walk away from a game just because something bad happened or because somebody else said something. And let me get into the points that I want to share here so you can understand these. Number one point is that when you have a goal that really, really matters to you, like a true purpose that you have in life that's really important to you, you don't put a time limit on that goal. You don't put a time limit on your true, definite, chief purpose in life. Something such as, I want to create a great life and a comfortable living situation for my kids. Or I want to make sure that I take care of my parents. Or I want to make sure that this skill that I have, this talent that I have, I figure out a way to get this out to 1 million people in the universe before I die. Those type of things you don't put a time limit on. Now, something like I want to get a 3.5 GPA before I graduate school. Well, obviously there's a time limit on that because eventually you're going to graduate school and you can't just keep going to school to try to bring that GPA up because you got 4 years, whatever you got when you graduate, that's what you got. And of course, you go to another school, but you're starting your GPA all over again. may not even be a GPA at that point, depending on the situation. But there are some goals where there is a time limit. Like, I want to make the team in high school and score 25 points per game. Well, you only got 4 years of high school. Eventually, high school's over. So some things, there will be forced time limits on you just based on the situation. You might say, well, I want to go play professional basketball. Look, at some point, you're not going to physically be good enough. You're not going to be physically, not even good enough, but physically in the condition where you can go play professional basketball. When you get to 45 years old, you probably can't run and jump and have the strength and the conditioning and the stamina that you had when you were 25. You just physically don't have the tools to do it. So the time is kind of forced on you. But what I'm saying is your definite purpose. What is your biggest purpose? What's the most important thing you want to achieve in life? Those things, you don't put a time limit on it. And again, you have to decide what those are. But there are things that each one of you should have. It's probably going to be more than one thing. But you need to figure out, what are the absolutes in my life? What are the things that I absolutely must do before I die, and that I absolutely won't compromise on, I won't put a time limit on, and I don't care how long it takes me to reach it, I'm going to reach that thing. That's point number one. Number two, Tim Grover in his book, Relentless, which is, for those of you who don't know what that book is or who Tim Grover is, he was Michael Jordan's personal trainer during Jordan's career. He trained also Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, several other players in the NBA. I think he also trains players in other sports. But Tim Grover wrote this book, Relentless, which is one of my top 5 books of all time. The book is all about the mindset of leadership, the mindset of holding yourself accountable, the mindset of self-discipline, the mindset of mental toughness. That's what this book is all about. And in the book, Tim Grover says, when you face a setback and someone calls you a failure because of that setback, it's not because you're actually a failure. When another person calls you a failure, or another person said that you lost, or another person says anything negative about you because you didn't reach a goal that you set and they know about it, all that means is that person is telling you how they would feel if they faced the same thing you face. So when I tried out for my high school team as a junior and I didn't make it, and someone said, well, you need to quit basketball, you'll never make it in basketball, you're embarrassing yourself, you're just wasting your time. All the things that person was saying was not actually true, and none of it was about me. All of it was what that person would feel if they had done the same thing that I did. So when a person puts some negative label on you, all they're doing is telling you how they would feel about themselves if they face the same thing that you face. But guess what? I'm not you, you're not me, you're not that person is not you. So you don't have to worry about what other people are saying about you, what other people think. If you're going to think about what somebody else says, just note it in your mind, okay, now I know where that person's limits are. Now I know what that person would need to go through to feel like a loser. Now I know what that person would need to face to feel like it's time to quit. And everybody has that time to quit. Everybody has their point that they quit. Just some people quit here, and some people don't quit till they get all the way up here. Some people's quitting level is so high that nothing ever happens that they even reach it. Think of somebody like a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant. So what, or you, it may just be you. We don't know. You got to answer that for yourself. The point that I'm sharing here, point number 2, is that when someone else puts failure or loser or you're unsuccessful, when they put that label on you, all they're doing is telling you how they would feel if they face the same thing. So it doesn't mean you need to accept it. You should know better by this point if you watched enough of my videos than to accept what somebody else says is their opinion about your life. Point number 3, 50 Cent says in one of his songs, I just keep going no matter what it costs me. And I love that line because that is a mentality. That's a mentality. That's a principle that I see in very few people these days. Very few people that I know. I could probably count on one hand, maybe can't even get up to 5 people that I know that they have something in life, anything, that they're just going to keep going at it no matter what it costs them in time, what it costs them in money, what it costs them in energy, what it costs them in attention. They're just going to keep going to this thing until they reach their desired outcome. What do you have? What can you say you're going to keep going at it no matter what it costs you, no matter how long it takes? You're just going to keep going until you take care of this. Maybe it's taking care of your kids. Maybe it's taking care of your mom. Maybe it's making sure you finish school. Maybe it's, who knows? I don't know what it is. But you need to figure out if you have anything. Do you have anything in your life that you're just going to keep going no matter what it costs you? My suggestion is that you find at least one thing. Why is that? Because that one thing can be the center of gravity around which everything else you do revolves. Because when you have that one thing that you absolutely must do, you know what happens? Every single decision you make and every action you take from that point forward, you can say, how does this relate to me reaching this? How does this relate to me achieving this goal? That way you can get better at decision making because you have something to weigh your decision against. When you don't have anything that you really say, I absolutely have to achieve this, then how do you know what decision to make? How can you decide between choice A and choice B if you have nothing to weigh it against? You have no course, no map, no compass, no direction. So figure out what that thing is going to be. So let me recap these 3 points. Number one, we're talking about the topic of the game is not over until you win. Don't put any time limits on your biggest goal. Your most important, definite chief aim in life, as Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich. Whatever that is, don't put a time limit on it. So your definite chief aim needs to be something that can't possibly have a time limit on it. In other words, something that is not controlled by anybody else. Something that's not controlled by somebody else's choice or decisions. Only controlled 100% by you and your actions. Number two, Tim Grover said this in the book Relentless. When someone else says you're a failure or unsuccessful or you should quit, all they're doing is telling you how they feel about themselves if they face the same thing as you. Well, good thing you're not them, because you would quit at that point, but you're deciding not to because you are not like that person. So don't take other people's judgments and opinions to mean you need to accept them. And number three, 50 Cent said it, I just keep going no matter what it costs me. What are you willing to keep going at in life, no matter what it costs you, no matter how long it takes in time, money, energy, attention? You're just going to keep going at it until you get it done. If you don't have anything, you need to turn off the internet, turn off YouTube, turn off your phone, don't talk to nobody, turn the radio off, and sit for an hour, sit for 2 hours, sit for 5 hours if you need to, and figure out what that is. Come up with at least one thing. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.